watching me.
I'm just an average man with an average life.
Scene number 1. Back in the chase. Lord Canterville and Mr. Otis are involved in a long discussion and have some furs and paper in front of them.
I must tell you, sir, that I think you're rather foolish. We haven't wanted to live here since my great-grand-aunt, the daughter Duchess of Bolton, felt 2 skeleton hands being placed on her shoulders.
My lord, I will take the house and everything in it, including the gas and the furniture.
I fear the ghost exists, and be warned, he always appears before the death of any member of my family.
And so does the family doctor, Lord Canterville. I come from a mother country where we have everything money can buy. I reckon that if there were such a thing as a ghost in Europe, we'd have it at home in a very short time in one of our public museums, or as part of our traveling roadshow.
If you don't mind a ghost in your house, it's quite alright with me. But please, remember that I warned you.
I understand, sir. However, there is no such thing as a ghost, and I guess that the laws of nature are not going to be suspended for the British aristocracy. And if there is such a thing as a ghost, I will be forced to charge him rent.
Is scene number 2. Calling the family. Mr. Otis is using a payphone on one side. Mrs. Otis and the rest are on the other side on the phone.
Operator, you must connect me at once. What? No, I can't. Do you know who I am, madam? I have my attorneys get you shut down at once.
In the Otis house, phone rings and everyone rushes to the phone.
Hello?
It's your husband.
What do you want?
Can you believe how much they're charging me for this call? It's absolutely ridiculous.
Is everything alright, dear?
Yes, but at this rate, it leaves no time to explain. I really must go.
You must have called for a reason.
Of course. Oh yes, I almost forgot. Pack your bags. We're moving to England. Your ship leaves on July 4th. They say the house is haunted by a dreadful ghost. I really must go.
We're leaving on July 4th to live in a haunted house in England.
With a real life ghost?
Cool. I wonder if he will like firecrackers.
I assure you, there are no such things as ghosts. They violate all sorts of natural laws. Father were here, he'd explain it to you right now.
Isn't July 4th tomorrow?
Very nice of Father. We get to see one last patriotic fireworks display before we leave.
Tomorrow?
Mother, isn't July 4th tomorrow?
What?
Good point, Lewis.
We're supposed to leave tomorrow. Your father is a lunatic. Washington, get the crates from the attic. Virginia, pack the silverware. Boys, just try not to blow anything up between now and tomorrow. Move, move.
Scene number 3. Touring the chase. The Otis family is walking up to the chase, and the butler is waiting for them.
Good day, James. Let me introduce you to my family. This is my wife, Mrs. Lucretia Otis. This is my eldest son, Washington, named after the fine intrepid American president.
George Washington.
This is my daughter, Virginia, named after the fine intrepid American state, Virginia. And those are the twins. They are named Lewis and Clark, named after those fine intrepid American explorers.
Lewis and Clark, down on stage.
Say hi to James.
Hi, James. Where's the fridge? I'm thirsty.
Hey, funny hat you have there.
Let me show you all around. This is the door to the kitchen next to the fireplace. This is the beautiful mahogany paneling. This is the antique settee. made of 400 years old teak.
Mother, look at this. It looks like something was spilled on the rug here.
Oh dear, it looked like blood.
Yes, it's blood from Eleanor the Canterbury. She was murdered there about 300 years ago. This table here is a 450 years old, made from walnuts. And look at this elegant brocade on this chair.
That's horrible.
No, it's the finest brocade, Madam, brought all the way from France.
No, the rug. Somebody was killed there.
Yes, Sir Simon de Canterbury killed his wife there. Look at the fine craftsmanship around the chimney.
Pardon me, but who is the Simon guy?
Oh, just a relation of my employer's. That's him on the wall. He hasn't been seen since he killed Eleanor.
James, remove that ghastly man from our ward at once.
James removes portrait and sets it on table. Virginia sits down and gets her paint out.
Probably dead by now.
Yeah, I bet that's why he haunts the place, Sir Simon. Sir Simon, where are you hiding, you coward? Come out and show yourself.
Yeah, and we've got firecrackers.
Do be quiet, Lewis and Clark.
I wouldn't concern yourself too much. He mostly only likes to play tricks nowadays. Now do come and sit on this sofa. It has some of the best either done.
Just give me a second to remove this thing.
Oh, I wouldn't. It can be removed. Sir Simon simply won't permit it. It's one of his little tricks.
Nonsense! There's nothing Pegasus Champion, a stain remover and Paragon detergent can clean up.
Let's go find the ghost.
Yeah, let's go grab our pea shooters and scare him.
Lewis and Clark exit.
Be careful, boys! Oh dear, what can we do with a butler who faints?
We'll have to deduct his wages. He won't faint after that.
Sorry about that. Now let me continue my tour. Look at the fine grain in this old chair here, and these fine bouquets. Here made of 100% genuine English rosewood. And
yes, very nice, James. Now, if you excuse us, we're very tired. Good night.
Of course, I'm sorry for keeping you. Good night.
Mrs. Otis turns portrait around, so it's facing the wall. All exit. It's thing number 4. Sir Simon appears. Sir Simon appears dressed as a simple ghost. He walks into the library and looks around at the junk the Odysseys have left, and at the lack of a bloodstain.
Who do these people think they are? They walk in here like they own the place. Leave their stuff all about. Remove my family's portraits. And remove my blood stain. And that's just on the first day.
Sir Simon takes some of Virgin's paints and falls on his.
I've kept this blood stain here for 300 years, 11 months and 15 days now. And I'm not about to let a few Americans ruin my reputation.
Gets up, paces around, throw a stack of paper on the ground and mounts a little.
Yes, I must evict these people. I will send them scurrying to find the next ship back to America.
Sir Simon lets out a terrifying mouth and disappears. It's scene number 5. The Bloodstained Reapers. The next morning, library is empty. Lewis and Clark enter.
Look, the bloodstain is back. That ghost must have been here.
Let's camp out here tonight and wait for him.
We can sleep under the desk.
No, we need to corner him. Otherwise, he will be able to escape. You sleep by the door.
He'll step on me.
And I will sleep on top of the desk, so I can jump on top of him.
No, let's switch. I'm bigger than you.
No, you're not. I'm taller.
Are you not? Look, I am.
Oh, come on, Louis. Let's go to get our pillows.
Lewis and Clark exit, and Mr. and Mrs. Otis enter.
Oh, look at this mist. Lewis and Clark must have been here. Lewis, Clark.
Lewis and Clark enter with pillows.
What on earth are you doing with your pillows?
We are gonna catch the ghost tonight.
See, he was here last night. The bloodstain is back.
How horrid! He must have spread the papers on the ground too.
Dear, I assure you there is no such thing as a ghost. There is obviously a drop somewhere in this room. I'll have Washington fix it later today.
And the bloodstain.
Twins put their pillows on top of table and exit.
Of course, it's a cat. He caught a mouse last night. Good thing too. I can't stand mice eating the pages of my books.
James enters.
James, wake up! Clean this blood up immediately.
Sorry, madam, I can't do that. Sir Simon won't let me.
Yes, you can. And grab some coffee on your way to get a cleaner. Please, remember not to mix up the detergent with the water.
James exits, and Washington enters.
Good morning, everybody. Sleep well last night. Oh, look, the blue stain's back. I guess James was right about the ghost. Well, Pinkertons won't let him win.
Virginia enters and sits at desk and takes paints out of box.
Oh, I wonder where I put my brick red paint. It's not here anymore.
James enters.
Look, the portrait of that horrid murderer's back on my wall. James, did you do that?
What?
James faints, drops coffee cups.
Oh dear. James seems to have painted again. I'll remember to dock his wages. Father, does $3.50 a minute unfair?
James jumps up.
Sorry about that. Madam, did I do what? I haven't done a thing. Well, except get the coffee.
Pick up these papers.
James picks up papers. Washington sits down.
I must write a letter to the Journal of Paranormal Phenomena.
So do you admit that ghosts exist?
Well, I suppose that...
No. Washington is a regular contributor, and he writes a letter every month.
James, please start preparing breakfast.
James exits.
Washington, why are the twin pillows on the table?
I don't know, Father. Maybe they want to see the ghost when he comes to replenish the blue stain.
Look, Washington, there really is no such thing as a ghost. I wish you would stop spreading rumors.
Breakfast is ready!
Everybody exits. Washington grabs both pillows on his way out. It's scene number 6. The first outing. The twins run on a stage with pillows.
It's almost 11 o'clock. Hurry up!
Okay, I've got my pea shooters loaded.
Alright, I got a bottle of water to throw at him. I'll jump at him and you fire.
No, the other way around. I want to tackle him.
You're not enough. You can't.
Yes, I can.
Shh. He's coming.
Twins settle down on floor and fall asleep. Sir Simon is dressed up in chains, making lots of noise. He enters library where twins are sleeping on the floor. He takes another of Virgin's paints and replenishes the bloodstains. The twins never wake up. Sir Simon then ages down the hall, making an awful racket and moaning. Mr. Otis enters through bedroom door.
My dear sir, I really must insist that you oil those chains. It is quite impossible for us to sleep with such an awful racket going on here. Therefore, I have brought you a bottle of Tamari Rising Sun lubricator for that purpose. I am happy to supply you with more, should you need it.
Mr. Otis exits through door. Sir Simon takes bottle and throws it to floor.
Who do these barbarians think they are? It is my right to moan and haunt and make horrible noises. Why? I have haunted these halls for more than...
Twins jump up from library with their pillows.
Ha! Got you!
Throw pillows at him. Sir Simon lets out the screen and runs off stage. Twins follow him off. It's scene number 7. The ghost problem. The next morning, Mr. and Mrs. Otis enter and sit down in library.
Hiram, you absolutely must do something about that ghost. Those ghastly noises keep me awake all night long. But hang a cage or something.
I was actually thinking of making some money off of him. We ought to be charging him rent.
Did you see that mess he made in the hole from the Tamari Rising Sun lubricator? Please, refrain from offering him any more liquids.
Washington enters,
Look, that blasted spot is back again.
cleans up stop.
Good morning, father. Good morning, mother. You sleep well last night?
Horribly. That dreadful ghost kept me up forever.
Son, I was thinking of capitalizing on this ghost by charging him rent. What do you think?
Brilliant, father.
Let's get going on it then.
He uses a calculator and theaters of receipt.
Okay, here's the bill. Washington, can you draw up the terms of rental?
Twin Center,
We got the ghost last night.
Yeah, we scared him right away.
You guys should have seen the look on his face when we laughed our pillows at him.
He looked like he was gonna cry right there.
Lewis and Clark. As much as I would like to see the ghost driving away, I really don't think it's polite to throw pillows at him. On the other hand, if he doesn't use the Tammany Rising Sun lubricator, we will be forced to take his chains from him.
Oh, can we help? We could scare him with our firecrackers.
And then use the hacksaw to remove the chains while he's passed out from the sonic boom.
Silly. You can make the ghost pass out. They are already dead.
I bet we could if you used enough firecrackers.
Right. Can we, father?
Not now, boys. Go get your breakfast. Washington, how's that rental terms document going?
Virginia enters, sits down in an open paint box.
Washington, what color was the blood this morning?
Emerald green. Why?
Green blood? Who's ever heard of green blood?
Who's ever heard of a ghost?
All exit. Scene number 8. The Howden resumes. Resident yellow butt of lanterns are pinned on wall of wall. Twins spin off fake ghosts on wall and run around the edge of set to hide. Sir Simon enters and grabs lanterns off wall.
Dear Sir, as you know, we have recently purchased this place from Lord Canterville. If you wish to remain here, we will be forced to collect rent. Please remand payment before the end of this week. Thank you. What? Who are these people? Charge me rent to live in my own home? It is me who ought to be charging them rent.
I start walking to library and then sees Ghost Scarecrow.
Ah, a ghost. It's a ghastly ghost.
Sir Simon runs to his room.
Oh, what a terrible, horrible ghost. I swear, it was going to kill me. Wait, I have an idea. Maybe this ghost, this terrifying new phantom, can help me get rid of the Odysseus. I'll go talk to him. Talk to him? Are you mad? That thing could soon rip me up as listen to me gap. How much damage could it really do? I mean, I'm already dead. I shall go forth and talk for business.
Sir Simon enters the stage gingerly.
Lord Ghost? Morning, sir. I'm Sir Simon, the Canterville, and I've haunted this place for over 300 years, but I don't think I've ever had the pleasure of making your acquaintance. How do you do? Sir. I'm sure you know what a danger this Otis family is. Hey, wake up! You there? Come on, I don't have all night. Sorry, sir. I guess I can be a little rough sometimes. Are all right? Gah, what's this? The Otis Ghost? The only true and original spook? Beware of the imitations. All others are counterfeit. I've been outwitted? Never. That Otis family will pay for this.
Twins enters and attack with pea shooters.
Boo!
You rascals. Was this your idea? I'll get you yet.
Twins chase Sir Simon off stage. Scene number 9. Ghost business. Sir Simon enters from other side and walks to library where Mr. Otis is waiting.
Hello, sir.
Sir Simon ignores Mr. Otis, walks to Virgin's paints, and takes out the last of the paint.
This is the last of the paints. I guess it's time to get some real blood next time. But acquiring, it's so hard these days. Maybe I'll just give up.
Mr. Otis gets up and puts his hand on Sir Simon's shoulder.
Don't scare me like that. What do you want with me?
I've got a proposition for you. I understand that you probably don't want to pay rent to live here. What if instead we put you on tour?
On tour? Like a tiger in a traveling circus?
I'm sure you'd be a huge success in New York. Just think how much money people would pay to see a real life ghost.
Sir Simon finishes replenishing Bloodstain.
I would be more than happy to pay your travel expenses. I think customs might be a little difficult, given the current ridiculously high duties on all kinds of spirits. But I'm sure we could get you through.
I will never.
Oh, you're not interested? In that case, I've drawn up a contract here for agreements on when you can hunt the house. You can hunt between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m. during the week, and between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. on weekends. In exchange, we will supply you with all the Tammany rice and San Lubricator you need to keep your chains quiet.
Sir Simon rips contract in half, throws it on the floor, and leaves.
Oh, how rude. To just live like that. What manners this aristocracy has. And I thought it was a good proposal too. These English know nothing about how to do business.
Mr. Otis leaves in a huff. It's scene number 10. Evicting the ghost. Morning in the library. Washington enters.
Look, the blue stain is back. And it's blue this time.
Virginia enters.
Look! All my paints are gone!
Runs off stage in direction of Sir Simon's room. Washington exits. Sir Simon is sitting in a chair looking old, forlorn and tired.
You poor ghost. I'm so sorry for you. My brothers are going back to school tomorrow, and then if you behave yourself, no one will bother you.
It's absurd asking me to behave myself. Quite absurd. I must rattle my chains, replenish my bloodstain, and walk about the night. It's my only reason for existing.
It is no reason at all to exist. And you know, you've been very wicked. James told us you killed your wife.
I admit I did it. But it was simply a family matter and concerned no one else.
Doesn't matter. It's still wrong to kill anybody.
Well, I couldn't have done it if she wasn't such a bad cook. However, even though it's all over, I still don't think it was very nice of her brothers to starve me to death.
Oh, Mr. Ghost, I mean Sir Simon, are you hungry? I could go down to the kitchen and fix you something to eat.
No, thank you. I never eat anything now. But that's very kind of you all the same. You're much nicer than the rest of your harried, rude, vulgar, and dishonest family.
Stop! It is you who are rude, horrid, and vulgar. As for dishonesty, I really don't think it was very nice of you to steal all my pains to keep the ridiculous blood stain in the library. Really? Who's ever heard of emerald green blood?
What was I supposed to do? It's way too expensive to get real blood these days, especially with your brother removing it every day.
The best thing to do would be to emigrate to America and improve your mind. I'm sure my father would be happy to give you a free passage. Once in New York, I know you'll be a huge success. I know many people there who would give up their vast family fortunes to have a family ghost.
I don't think I would like America very much.
I suppose because we have no rings and no antiques.
No ruins, no antiques. What a dull place to live.
Well, goodbye then. I will go and ask father to get the twins an extra week's holiday.
Please don't go, Miss Virginia, don't go. I'm so lonely and tired. I want to sleep and I cannot.
That's quite absurd. You simply have to go to bed and blow out the candle. It's sometimes very difficult to keep awake, but there's never any difficulty going to sleep. Why, even babies know how to do that, and they are not very clever.
I haven't slept for over 300 years and I'm so tired.
Did you inscribe the verse etched in the library windowsill?
Yes, I did.
When a golden girl can win, prayer from out the lips of sin, when the barren almond bears.
I know.
And a little child gives away its tears, then shall all the house be still, and peace come to Canterville. It doesn't rhyme very well.
That's because you've got a funny American accent.
What does it mean?
It means that you must weep for my sins, because I have no tears, and pray for my soul, because I have no faith. And then the angel of death will have mercy on me, and I can finally die.
I am not afraid. I will ask the angel of death to have mercy on you.
You will see fearful shapes in the darkness, and weak voices will whisper in your ear, but they will not harm you.
Go back, little Virginia. Go back. Beware. Beware, little Virginia. We may never see you again.
Quick, or it will be too late.
Turn back while you can. Leave.
Hurry!
Sir Simon pulled her off stage. Otis' family, Sans Virginia, and James are in the library.
Has anyone seen Virginia? She's been gone for hours.
She was here this morning. She saw that she used up all her paints and left crying. I thought she went to her room.
I told you something terrible will happen. It's your Simon, I know it.
I've been searching all day and I haven't eaten. James, bring us something to eat.
I don't feel like eating.
Me neither.
Everybody sits around looking glum. Bang. Then Virginia enters with a box of apples.
Virginia, where were you? We were so worried.
I was with Sir Simon.
That ghost! Are you alright?
I'm fine.
Sir Simon? Is he alive?
He's fine. He's finally free now. He's been forgiven.
Look, the bloodstain.
Remarkable!
Is he dead?
The stain. It's gone!
And look, before he died, he gave me this box of beautiful jewels to keep.
It's almost 12. Let's go to bed. We can discuss this in detail in the morning. Good night, everyone.
Is scene number 11. The end. Mr. Otis and Lord Canterville are in the library.
I must really thank you for breaking the Canterville curse. My family will be very pleased to hear the news.
Milord, it is quite clear to me that these jewels are, or should be, heirlooms in your family. I beg you to take them with you and regard them as a portion of your property which has been restored to you, albeit under somewhat strange circumstances.
My dear sir, your daughter has rendered my unlucky ancestor a very important service, and my family and I are very much indebted and grateful to her for her marvelous courage. The jewels are very clearly hers, and I believe if I were hairless enough to take them from her, that wicked old fellow would be out of his grave in a fortnight.
Thank you, sir, but I think just the box is sufficient. A memento for Virginia, you see.
I must insist that you take the box and its contents as well. You remember, Mr. Otis, that when you bought this place, you bought the furniture, the ghost, and his possessions. When Sir Simon died, everything he owned pays into his possessions.
Thank you, sir. Virginia will be very happy to have these priceless jewels.
you.